2018, class number 27. Okay, the Torah has actually chapters. The chapters that we normally talk about, chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those were made by the monks and have nothing really to do with Judaism. Okay, chapter and verse really was made by the monks when they were studying the Torah. The chapters we have in our Torah are the paragraph breaks that you'll see in the Chumash. Right, if you look on the Hebrew side, you see there's a paragraph break. Right, you see there's a paragraph break here and here and here and here and there. Right, those are paragraph breaks that are Jewish paragraph breaks. Right, and so there are a lot of those. You know how the monks set it up, and then you see, because from time to time you'll see the paragraph break in some place that doesn't really belong at all. Like it's kind of like the middle of the story. Like you kind of just there's not a sensible way on how it's done. Okay.
So the paragraph breaks in a Chumash are the same you'd see in a Torah scroll.
Yeah. Right. So if you look in here, right, those paragraph breaks in the Hebrew is actually in the Torah scroll. You see those same paragraph breaks. Okay. So those are the right. So therefore, it's not there. 5,845 verses in the entire Torah. 5,845 verses in all 5 books of the Torah.
Is there any meaning to that?
Sure. Is the Pope Catholic? Right? Right, so right.
Most of the time.
So 5,845. The way you would spell that in Hebrew is Hey, Ches, Mem, Hey. Okay? Right? And so Hey, Ches, Mem, Hey spells out the word Hachama, the sun. Right? And just like the world can't exist without the sun, so too the world can't exist without the Torah. And the sun, right? The sun gives light and life to the world, right? So to the Torah gives light and life to the world. So there are exactly 5,845 verses. What's also fascinating, quite fascinating, by the way, is that actually starting from verse 1, that corresponds to the first year of creation. Verse number 2 is the second year. Verse 3 is third year, etc. Every year of the Torah, right? Depending on what it is, that corresponds to what happens during that year. So it actually happens to be just fascinating. So like we're in 5,778. So if you read the 5,778th verse in the Torah, you will go ahead and you will that verse will sum up what takes place during this year.
Can we clap?
Mm-hmm.
Can we clap?
Like what?
Can we clap?
When?
No.
Oh yeah, you should get up and dance, because I'll show you some stuff that
That's
is
exactly what I wanna
that is beyond spooky. You want to see something like really spooky on this?
Yes.
Like just like the heck of it?
1944.
Okay. I want to. Okay. Everyone, turn in your chumash. Okay, turn in your chumash. 2 page. 2 page. 1,089.
1,000.
89. Okay. 1,089. It's Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 21. Okay? Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 21. Mark, why don't you read it?
The later generation will say, your children who all arise after you, and the foreigner who will come from the distant land, when they shall see the plagues of the land and its illnesses which Hashem has afflicted it, sulfur and salt, a configuration of the entire land, it cannot be sown and it cannot be sprouted, and no grass shall rise upon it, like the upheaval of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Admah and Zeboim.
And Zeboim, which Hashem overturned in his anger and wrath. And all the nations will say, for what reason did Hashem do so to this land? Why his wakefulness of great anger?
And they will say, go ahead. Verse
And
24.
they will say, because they forsook the covenant of Hashem, the Lord of their forefathers, and he sealed with them when he took them out of the land of Egypt. And they went and saved the gods of others and proposed and prostrated themselves to them, gods that they knew not, and he did not abhor them.
Not that he apportioned them, right?
Apportion, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. Apportion them. So God's anger flared against the land to betray upon it the entire curse that is written in the book. And Hashem removed them from upon the soil with anger and with wrath and with great fury. And he cast them into another land as this very day. And the hidden sins for Hashem, our God, but revealed sins are for us and for our children forever, to carry out all the words of the Torah.
Okay. Does anyone know what verses this corresponds to? This is 5699 to 5707. Does anyone happen to know what secular year that corresponds to?
Probably
70, I think,
1939.
1939 to 1945.
Wow.
What we just read.
Wow.
Now, just in case that doesn't get you like knees shaking a little bit, so I want you to go three verses later. Okay, so on page 1091, so it's chapter 30, verse number 3. And so this now corresponds to year 1948. Joy, do you want to read it?
Then Hashem your God will bring back your captivity and have mercy upon you, and he will return and gather you in from all the peoples to which Hashem your God has scattered you.
What year is that? 1948.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
What page was that on?
1091, chapter 30, verse number 3. Then Hashem your God will bring you back, and will bring back your captivity and mercy upon you, and will return and gather you in from all the peoples to which Hashem your God has scattered you.
That's just coincidental.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just making sure we knew that.
But they said the Holocaust will never happen again.
But you're middle of living. You're middle of living in middle of one, right? We're losing Jewish people, losing more people now. In the next 20 years, we lost them. We lost during the Holocaust. But the apathy and walking out of their Judaism. They don't have to lift a finger. Not so simple. Not so simple on how the world turns.
Okay. What it says about 2019.
That's what everyone's looking. You can only look at no backwards. 2019, first of all, everyone gets a mazel tov. You know, the American embassy moved to Jerusalem today. So, so we're very excited.
As they would say in Brooklyn, Shane Sykes.
Yeah, it's not bad. Only 51 years late. It's not bad. But I also want to dedicate today's class to a refuah shalema, to get well to all the soldiers that are on the Gaza border. And they actually received a text, quite disturbing, that they threw a hand grenade. And there was a soldier who jumped on the hand grenade to save his buddies, who's in a bad shape. Rachamim ben Eliza, and so we want to have today's study class in his merit. You should have a refuah shlema. You should have a refuah shlema. You should have a complete healing. So that's just the current events that are taking place today.
You know, the news talks about all the Palestinians that were killed.
Right.
They kind of just forgot about them.
No. It's terrible. Thank God the White House, and then it's kind of put a very clear statement that the Hamas has said if the people don't go, they will kill them. So the people are really stuck between a rock and a hard place. And so it's a tragedy that's going on. Really, the making of Hamas, and these are the people that they want Israel to hear that they should rule the land. And it's kind of like my head hurts just thinking about that. But that's actually what's taking place. So we pray for the right Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim. Right, we pray for the peace of Jerusalem and for Israel. So at this point in time, that may God watch over us and protect us and protect the inhabitants and the people in the land from all the terrible things that the people want to go ahead and have and want to go ahead and to do. Okay, so that's you asked about the verses. That kind of is just something that's just like super cool. I just think it's like.
So when does the world end?
So it's very interesting, right? Because there are 5,845 verses in the Chumash. What's interesting is that we know the world, right, from the creation of Adam, right, till today was going to be a maximum of 6,000 years. So just quite interesting, right? There are only 5,845 verses in the Chumash. So it's just an interesting thing what's going on. Like it's stay tuned. Right? We're not prophets. We just look at the Torah what we need to do. So our job isn't to worry about when the world will end. Our job is to worry about what we should do today. Right? To do more Torah and more mitzvahs. Right? Do tshuva, right? And bring Mashiach, right? To bring godliness back into this world. So that kind of is our goal. And by the way, just FYI, this Saturday night is holiday Shavuos. So next Monday night we will not be having class here. But if you want, next Saturday night, this coming up Saturday night, we'll be studying all night, around like 12 midnight till around like 5:30 in the morning. We're actually going to be going through the 613 commandments. And actually it's going to be taking place on this coming up Saturday night.
Where?
At Or HaTorah in the learner service room. And that kind of is what's going on.
So when it starts?
When it starts around midnight.
Midnight to 5 in the morning?
Yeah, right. We have 5:30. Yeah, then we have services, and then we get to eat cheesecake, and then we get to go to bed.
And wake up and eat more cheese.
Wake up and eat more cheesecake, and then
Oh, you mean that dairy food?
Okay. The holiday Shavuos starts this Saturday night, which we celebrate the receiving of the Torah. Right, we should celebrate the receiving of the Torah, and we got the Torah on the holiday of Shavuos, and so what happened was that when we woke up late, right, the morning that God was going to give us the Torah, what happened was we had stayed up, we had a hard time falling asleep because we were so excited about getting the Torah that we overslept the next morning. God had to wake us up, and because God had to wake us up, so therefore it has become customary that the night of Shavuos we stay up all night studying Torah. And so we're ready to accept the Torah. It also, by the way, is just FYI, is that during the Torah reading on Shavuos morning, so the early Sunday morning Torah reading, it says when the Jewish people came to Mount Sinai, all the people that were sick became healed. Right? So it's a tremendous time to have in mind, right, prayers for somebody who is sick, right, that they should be healed. Right? So that's on when we hear the Torah reading on Sunday morning, to have that in mind about right, to receive the Torah.
So that's Sunday morning, Saturday
night
to 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
So the service.
The service, the 5:30 services start 5:30 in the morning, and we probably end around 7:30.
Oh, okay.
And that's roughly how the services go. They go pretty quickly. Everyone stayed up all night. They're moving along at a clip. So
Like 8 o'clock, so people can go home.
Yeah. Okay, now that's why on Shavuos there's a custom that people eat dairy. Why? Because when Shavuos morning we came to Mount Sinai, we got the mitzvahs of kosher, and also we realized that all our dishes, all our pots and pans were not kosher, right? So we couldn't cook in them, right? Because till we koshered them, and so therefore, but dairy doesn't have to be cooked, so therefore people ate dairy. So because of that, there's a custom to eat dairy on Shavuos also. It means it's a holiday, and on the holidays we're supposed to eat meat. Okay, right? On the holidays we're supposed to eat meat. So there's a custom to also eat dairy, right? In commemoration of the Torah, right? Of us getting the Torah. So that's why. So I personally, right? My meals on Shavuos are all meat. And what happens is on And what happens is so I eat my dairy when I come home from the synagogue at like 7:30 in the morning. So I come home, I make kiddush, and I eat my cheesecake, and then I go to sleep. And that's when I eat my dairy. So people have different customs what they do, but it's a yontif, and on a holiday you have to eat meat. So therefore, you're actually required to eat meat. So therefore, it becomes something that to make sure to do.
On all yontifs, you're supposed to eat meat?
Yes,
Okay.
red meat. We're not even talking about chicken. We're talking about like red
Beef.
Beef, right? We're talking about beef, right? So it's and wine, right? And right, because the Talmud says you're supposed to rejoice on the holiday, and the rejoicing is through meat and wine.
And when you say red meat, that's the exclusion of pork, the other white meat.
Right. Yeah, on the holiday you don't eat the pork. It's very important. Just make sure you don't eat the pork. And once you get out of the house, you probably don't want to bring it back in. So like it's so that's
When is it okay to eat pork?
What?
Is it ever okay to eat pork?
Yeah, if somebody holds a gun to your head and says, "I'm blowing your head off."
Hey, that's what I thought.
If you can, so I always tell people, if you really want pork, all you got to do is have somebody hold a loaded gun to your head. I don't know about you. I don't want anyone holding any loaded gun to me anytime, right? And somebody says, "I'll blow your brains out if you don't do it." So then your life's in danger, and you're welcome to eat pork. I'll tell you, there's a very fascinating story, by the way. There's a Jewish responsa written by the Chavetz Chaim. Okay, the Chavetz Chaim was a great sage who passed away in Europe in 1933. He wrote the famous book on the Mishnah Berurah, which is a classical work on the laws, but he also wrote a book on Lashon Hara. He kind of gathered all the laws together and created the book on Lashon Hara, and not speaking, right, learning proper speech. And somebody wrote him, and he has a beauty. It's unbelievable. Somebody wrote him a letter asking him and said to him, he's in the Russian army. They only serve non-kosher. He's afraid if he doesn't eat it, that he'll become weak and then he'll die. So he's allowed to eat pork. So he wrote back. He says, "Yes, you can. Just don't lick the bones." He said, right, don't enjoy it. Don't lick the bones. Like licking the bones would be, like that would be like too far. Just make sure you don't lick the bones. So it's it's kind of just funny when you say that. That's what I think about. You always ask to eat pork, you just don't lick the bones. Right, so and by the way, and it's perfectly fine to use insulin from a pig because you're not eating it. And actually, I had a student that told me that he needed part of his jaw replaced and wanted to use something like a pig bone, like for the jaw. So he asked me, was he allowed to do that? I said, absolutely. I said, because he's not eating it. And so therefore that's okay.
So you can use like the skin of the animal and
sure,
stuff like that.
yeah, pig skin. How do you play football if you don't have a pig skin?
My grandmother wouldn't let me play for that reason.
Really?
Seriously.
Really, it's so funny. I love Jewish grandmas. They're so great. Like there's no source in that in Jewish law, but it's just like to her it was so
Yeah.
like she couldn't bear you thinking like you're
If
gonna.
you can't eat it, you shouldn't play with it.
Right. So that's just and that's a Yiddish mama. You know what I'm saying, right? But there's no source of that in Jewish law. I bought my son a pigskin. Tell him go play football too. And so that's what it is. Okay, fine. So now, and speaking on that topic, your question of if somebody goes ahead, if God tells you to do X, do you have to do it even when it would seem to fly in the face of everything that God says, right? And then the question is, how do you know it's God? So obviously you have to know with 100% certainty that it's God. Right? And how do you know 100% certainty that it's God? So normally, it has to come from a prophet, right? From a verified, bona fide prophet.
We have none today.
We don't have exactly. So that's why today it's an irrelevant question.
Okay.
Okay, right?
Okay.
But that's somebody actually says that God is talking to them. They belong in a loony bin, right? So then for sure stay away from them, right? Okay, right. But God willing, we'll get prophecy back, and then if the prophet delivers the message, So then and they actually say, it's very interesting, they say when Abraham was commanded by God to offer up Isaac, his son, right? And he does it, right? And so he said for Isaac it was easy, because Isaac was told by a prophet, his father, that this is what God said. So he certainly knew it. The question was Abraham second guessing himself, saying, was that really God? or did I just hear something? Right? And so therefore, sure, it'll be a tremendous dilemma, right? To make sure that really is God, and like you really understand what He really wants you to do. And that's always a challenge, right? To do it. But my question is always was a hypothetical question, right? If God was to come in and say, "Do X," would you do it? Right? Verify. Hey, you do everything. It's from God. Take that as a given. Now, do you follow the direction or not?
You have to.
You have to. That's what it is.
So, can one say there's signs from God, or is that the same thing as not?
So signs from God is not prophecy.
Not signs, signs.
Signs, S-I-G-N-S.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So signs from God. So the answer is sure, but that's not prophecy. Right. Meaning it would seem to do this way, but normally, right, if there's a verse in the Torah, a commandment in the Torah that says not like that, then you know that you're missing the boat. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Then you know that you're not getting it. Right. Like that. Like that's really something that's just not that. Right. Like that's right. Like that's you have to know for sure that it comes from God.
Yeah, Rabbi, but to this day, does God can reveal things to you, to him, for instance, like show you something that you can see in the third day after you have that?
It could be, but if it would tell you, if you would have let's say a person would have a dream. Now most dreams, right, the Talmud says anyway, are meaningless. Man just dismisses them out of hand. Right? Dreams are meaningless. But if a person would say, well, I had a dream, it was so real, and God told me to shoot somebody. There's no way in the world that you could do that. And God told me it's okay for me to eat pork. Right? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't work. Right? So it's today we don't have prophets. Right? And so we don't have prophets.
Last couple months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were dealing about something, and then somebody had to get a document. But what happened is, I was thinking about that thing, and the night, early in the morning, I was, talking. I can see it was shown to me, the office that I'm going to supposed to go, and the person who's going to be in the office, and what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And on 7 days later, the following week, right, it turns out that I was in that office, and I can the whole scene came back to me and said, oh, exactly the guy that was, the oval desk and every single action that was revealed exactly happened. What is that?
Deja vu.
Right? So something like that is, again, when the Talmud actually says most of the things you dream about at night are things that you thought about during the day. Right? And that it's kind of just you were thinking about the meeting, and and so you dreamed about what it was going to look like. Right? So so therefore most dreams are not, there's nothing to them. Right? And that's sort of the attitude that I take. But I am as I say, a cult of Litvak in that, like a cold Lithuanian Jew. Like it's like what does it say in the Torah? Like just that. You gotta speak to a Hasidic person or
I wouldn't put a Litvak and Hasidim in the same.
No, that's
Glitziana.
right. That's what I'm saying. He has to go speak. He has to go speak to Sephardim. Sephardim are big into this. And to us, it's not really. It's just whatever.
One thing that we talked about in the parsha last week was coincidence. And there's much, when you mentioned it, it's not coincidence.
Right.
Is that based on the fact that Hashem is really
running the world.
running the world.
How does Hashem sign His name?
With his fingerprints in the Torah.
Right, that's one way. And then how does He sign it? The answer is coincidence.
Oh, okay.
You know, right? Okay, right. Things just happen, just so. Right? You read the story. The storm of the Purim is a classic story. Everything that happened in the Purim story, if I had to write a soap opera, I could write it right in. Right? Write the story right in. Right? They could make it right. We'd sound like a soap opera, and yet what do we say? It's all God. And yet everything that happened was God happening. Right? And so it's always our job in this world is as we walk through the world, is to say God, God, God. Is to see God. Right? And so and when you start doing that, you could become really sensitive to picking out God, 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 God. Right? It's actually going out and picking out what is God and who is God and where is God and yada yada you. Right? That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? We want to see God everywhere. Right? So you do is look, and you can see God everywhere.
But if something bad happens, you say, why did I just...
Correct. And so the answer is, it's from God. Don't think for a second it's not. Right? But then to say, okay, so what did I do? Right? What did I do? Or right, why is this happening to me?
But I'm human, I have the right to make mistakes.
I'm going to tell you something very clear. God expects us to make mistakes because we're human. The problem is not making mistakes. The problem is when we make mistakes, not correcting them. In any case, remember, Adam and Eve, we talked about it all the time. Why did Adam and Eve get thrown out of the garden? Because they didn't repent, right? It had nothing to do with them sinning. Right? If they would have sinned and would have said they're sorry, would God have kept them in there? Sure. And it's only because they didn't own it, because they're busy passing the buck. Same with Cain and Abel, right? It's always that's the story. The storyline is, right, and the Torah repeats it if not one time, 100 times, right? That the consequences are for not doing tshuva. Right? The Talmud even says if the sword is resting on your neck, don't give up hope.
I was reading the Torah about that part.
Mm-hmm.
It says that it wasn't that they were thrown out; they went into exile, and that's where the beginning of exile started.
Yeah, that's
So a lot of questions goes back to that day again.
Right, but why? Because by going to exile is when you go ahead and when you figure it out. Right, that's the bottom line. Right, that's when, as we say in Hebrew, the famous word nafal ha'asimon. Right, there's a phrase in Israel, in the olden days in Israel, you used to have these what are called asimons, these coins, special coins that you used to call on the phone. And what happened was, you put it in, and then you dial the number, and then as soon as the other person would pick up, you'd hear it click, and you would hear the asimon falling into the phone. It's called nafal ha'asimon, like the asimon fell. Right, so it says that's when the lights go on, right?
That's what I did with wire.
and that's called nafal ha'asimon, right? The asimon fell, right? Click, right? And so that's why they made the hole in the middle of them, right? That you could tie it with wire. Yeah, so because some people the asimon did not fall, right? So but that's what it is, right? And so that's our choices. Okay, chapter 5, verse 1, Genesis, page 25. Kenny, you want to read?
Sure. This is the account of the descendants of Adam. On the day that God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female. He blessed them and called their name man on the day they were created. When Adam had lived 130 years, he begot in his likeness and his image, and he named him Seth. In the days of Adam...
Okay, hold on. Right? Okay, so this is very fascinating. Look at verse number 1. Read verse number 1 again.
This is the account of the descendants of Adam. On the day that God created man, he made him in the likeness of God.
Okay, so what is verse number 1 saying?
The descendants of Adam.
Descendants of Adam. When did Adam have descendants?
After Cain was
No,
Cain and Abel. in
he
the
had
hills.
him in the Garden of Eden.
He had him in the Garden of Eden. How do we know he had them in the Garden of Eden?
Because that's when the Cain and Abel thing happened.
It came, no,
The
became,
Garden of Eden.
no, Garden of Eden happened after Garden of Eden. Right, so why, right, so what did we say? So remember, at the beginning of chapter 4, right, it said, and Adam had known his wife, right, which is the past tense right before the story. But here in chapter 5, verse 1, it actually makes it even clearer. Right, because what does it say? This is the accounting of the descendants of Adam. When did Adam start having descendants? On the day that God created man. He made him in the likeness of God. So when did Adam have children? Which day? Day 1. Where was Adam and Eve on day 1? In the garden. So you
So
see,
on Friday.
on Friday. That's what it says. Right? So that's what the verse says. Verse 1, chapter 5, verse 1 says, he had descendants on the day that he was put into the garden. Okay? Got it? Okay. Yep, we're good? Okay. Okay. Now, why does God start off the world with only one person?
To show that it was all created.
Oh, so very good. So, right. So number 1 is to teach us is that the whole world was created even for one person. For one person. Right. And by the way, who's that one person? Me. Me. No. Me. Right? It's every person is that person, right? Right? That's why God created the world with one person. Remember, we read, he said when he created antelopes, how many antelopes did he create?
Thousands.
Right, millions, gazillions, right? How many gazelles? Gazillions too, right? Okay, right. Gazillions of gazelles. How many elephants did he create? Millions, right? Right, he created a ton of those. Right, so God is busy going ahead, and God is creating all these multitudes of different animals when He creates them, right? And what does He do? When He creates man, He only creates one person. Why? To drive home this point that what? That the whole world was created for one person. Who's that one person? Me. And that's what I have to look at it, right? That I'm the one person. Page 25. Right? And then number 2, right? What's number 2? Right, whoever saves a Jewish life, it's as if he saved an entire world. Right? Right? You save one life, it's as if you saved an entire world. Right? You go ahead and that's what happens. Right? You save an entire life. Even one life, you've saved an entire world. Because the world is created for each human being. And so even saving one life is really what it's all about. Right? And so it's pretty powerful. Right, to go ahead and to do that. Okay, so he named. So when Adam had the 130 years old, he begot in his like and his image, and he named him Seth. Right? Why does it tell me that he? So how many children did? Go ahead, continue. So read the verse 4 again.
4.
Yeah.
In the days of Adam, after begetting Seth for 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died.
Okay, so how old was Adam when he died?
9:30.
930. Who's the oldest man? Who's lived the longest of all people?
Noah.
No. Methuselah. Methuselah. They said he lived long. Methuselah. How old was Methuselah when he died? Old.
933. 53.
969 years old. How old was Noah when he died?
928, was it?
No.
So here he lived till 2006.
That's 2006 from creation.
Oh.
Right, but how many years did he live?
Or 8, I forget, I remember.
950 years. And he lived 950 years. Okay, 950 years. And so, right, 950 years. So you realize Mr. Shalach, Noach, then Adam. Why did Adam live only 930 years?
Made a
You
mistake.
can't say only with 930.
It's easy for you to say that. Right? So, right, why does Adam live only in quotes? 930 years.
He had to pay a price for his mistake. He had to pay a price for his mistake. Everybody pays a price.
Incorrect. Why is that incorrect, by the way?
No, he
He had already been punished.
No. No, because you could get the consequence, but if you still don't learn your mistake, you still have further consequences. As soon as you do tshuva, you fix the consequence.
No, but not everything is teshuva fixable.
Okay, I disagree with that. Tshuva fixes it always. In fact, it's crazy when you actually stop and think about it. The power of tshuva, right? The power of repentance and returning to God, right? Because it means that if you did something which is so horrible, and you do tshuva, you could still rectify the situation.
How could
It's
I
not what
keep,
happened with Cain.
What? Until
how could I keep myself from lying to myself? Because I do something wrong and say I'm sorry. How do I know I'm really sorry?
that's a big. So let me tell you something. Let me just tell you something. Just make a little point here. Judaism is at the end of the day about character refinement. Okay, about becoming an exquisite human being. Okay, that's our job is to become an exquisite human being. How do we become an exquisite human being?
Act godlike.
We have to act godlike, right? It's really going ahead and learning to become godlike. Part of working on our character development. Character development takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of work, right? And it's very easy to lie to oneself.
Yeah.
Right? It's very easy to lie to oneself, and it just takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of really soul searching and honesty, right, with oneself to be able to really to get through. Am I really sorry? Now, if you need help feeling sorry, come visit me because I'll explain to you the consequences. right. I mean, I'll tell you so much. So actually, I'm teaching on Wednesday night. It's a scary thought. Have you heard of Samuel the prophet? And Samuel the prophet was the greatest of the prophets. Right, of the 15 prophets, that was from Joshua till King Saul. And King Saul was having a battle that he actually was going to die from, and he went and he summoned Samuel to come. Okay, summoned Samuel to come to reveal to him what he was supposed to do. And the Talmud says that when Samuel was being summoned, he got panicked that he was being summoned to the world to come to his court case with God. And so he was sitting next to Moses. So he says, Moses, would you come with me? And that's you ever the witch of Endor? And the story of, right? So Samuel shows up. Not only Samuel, Moses shows up with him. Because he was afraid. And if you could imagine Samuel the prophet is afraid to show up in heaven because he's going to court. Right? Like, what chance do we have? Right? You know what I'm saying? Right? It's crazy. Right? What chance do we have? Do we stand a chance?
Ignorance is bliss.
What? Ignorance is bliss. Right? So you say, but being soul searching and kind of in trying to really see, am I really sorry? And what am I really sorry about? You know, and what could I have done differently, or how could I correct it? Yada yada. It takes work. It takes a lot of work. So, because then the answer is, you're right. You're probably fooling yourself, probably like 80% of the time. You're not too sorry for the consequence. You're really not sorry that you did it. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like all these types of things become things that really, like, you really have to. It takes work. It takes a lot of work. Adam was supposed to live 1,000 years, but Adam went ahead, and he saw that there was going to be somebody named in the future, named David, who was supposed to die when he was born. And the Jewish people wouldn't have King David. And he saw that the Jewish people were going to need King David, so he gave him 70 years of his life. So King David got 70 years of Adam's life. So Adam lived 930. When Adam lived 930 years, he really was supposed to live 1,000, but he gave him 70 to King David.
So that could be counted as tshuva.
What did that? Whatever.
Yeah, isn't it?
Tzedakah. I think it's more charity,
So,
right? Chesed, kindness, right? You know what I'm saying? Right?
so Adam pulled the plug on himself.
Yeah.
When he says, "Okay, goodbye, have a nice day, bye."
He said God takes 7 more years and
And
gives it
that's
to
not
King David.
considered suicide?
No.
So that King David only lived 70 years.
Yeah, King David lived only 70 years, and King David actually, when was King David's birthday? It's very good. The holiday of Shavuos is actually this coming Sunday. King David's birthday. When did King David die? Shavuos. So the 70th year, when he knew he was going to die, he spent studying Torah. And when you study Torah, the evil inclination cannot touch you. So the evil inclination was sitting at the window, waiting to collect King David, and King David's studying Torah.
The number 7 comes up everywhere.
Right. Isn't it interesting? It's 70. Right? And so King David sat and studied Torah. And the evil inclination said, no, gotta get on with the show. We gotta kill King David. And so he makes a loud noise outside the window. King David looks up, and he kills him and dies. And that's how King David dies.
Because he stopped studying.
He stopped studying Torah for that split second. Right, so that's 930 years, right? So Adam lived 930 years. Okay, Bentzi, what was your question?
Don't remember.
You remember? Okay. I always wish sometimes I'd have like a little piece of paper with a pen. So I don't have a question, you could just write it down before I forget it. Yeah. Right, that's when you keep it on the table, you can just scribble something. Okay.
So what something?
Yeah.
How did man
That's remediable.
from lasting 900 years went all the way to 120?
Okay, we're going to get to that.
And
That's
did
it.
that slowly happen or just happened one time?
Okay, you have to wait to chapter 6.
6.
Okay, wait a chapter. Okay.
Eight to 10 weeks.
Depends how many questions you ask. You never know. Okay. Alrighty. So it goes like this, right? So how many kids did Adam have?
5.
Many.
5. What are the 5?
3 boys, 3 girls, 2 boys.
3 girls, 2 boys.
How do you know?
Okay. Okay. Three girls and 2 boys. So that was because Cain was born with a twin sister, and Abel was born with 2 twin sisters. So that's 5.
You owe me a coffee.
No. That was not yet. Not so fast. I think you might have to buy him 2 back, because in verse 3, what does it say in verse 3? When Adam had lived 130 years, he begot his likeness and image, and he named him Seth. Oh,
6.
so how many children does he have? 6. But remember, all births in those days were multiple. So he had now 7. 3 girls and 2 boys. 3 boys and 4 girls, right? Okay, you there?
No, well, wait a second.
Cain, Abel, Seth.
Yeah, but you don't know how many came with Seth.
Right, so assuming this is the normal was 2.
Is it automatically a boy or girl? Could it be 2 boys?
It's very interesting. Normally it was a boy and a girl.
Oh, okay.
Okay, normally it was a boy and a girl. But I want to show you something very fascinating. That's only when you read verse 3. What happens when you read verse 4? And the days of Adam, after begetting Seth, were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters.
Who, Seth or Adam?
Adam. So for the next 800 years, Adam was having sons and daughters. So now, let me ask the question again. How many children did Adam have?
Gazillion.
In 800 years?
But Adam is not having it, the wife is having it. It's coming from the wife.
Well, I don't know. You need a guy too.
No,
So
I
Adam
understand,
and his
but
wife were having
I
children.
understand. So how
At
the
least
woman-
then.
No, I understand. No, I understand. So
Yeah.
there was no needle or anything like that at that time?
No, they were sure.
But how fast could you have produced 800 kids? I mean, 800,000 kids.
No. So it's 800 years they were having kids. So the way I look at it is like this. 800 years, right? So let's say
The
every
9-month cycle was there, right?
9-month cycle was there. Why was the 9-month cycle there?
Because that was one of the.
That was one of the punishments of the Garden of Eden, right? Okay. So you had the 9-month cycle. So you could have a kid every year, not a problem. And I could have a kid every 9 months, really, or 10 months, right? Okay.
Well, and it could be a multiple birth.
And it could be and there were multiple births, right? So, but let's assume 2 kids a year. For 800, that's 1,600 kids. But so you could have a lot of children. I don't know how he had college funds for all of them, but somehow he managed.
Okay, how did he provide for them?
Oh, how do you provide for them? Oh,
How did they eat?
A big table.
what's the answer?
Manna from heaven.
No, no matter if I'm having could it almost.
He had to work for it.
He had to work
Oh,
for
that's
it.
right. Had to work for it.
But the answer is very simple. When God gives us children, He gives us money to take care of them.
But 800,000 kids?
Yeah, absolutely. However many you have, that's how many He gives to you. That's how it works. That's how the world
So
works.
don't worry, just have kids.
Correct.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was worried about that.
You don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. God, and by the way, one of our greatest ways to show our trust in God is to have children. Why? No. That's exactly it. Because, right, what does it cost? By the time a kid's 21, finish college, how much have you spent on a kid? I know, 210,000. I think they have a number somewhere. Oh, maybe up to $500,000 already. Okay, half a million a kid, right? It's expensive, and yet somehow it works, right? So at the end of the day, right, when God gives you kids, just like I'll give you a better example than that. Listen to this insight. This is worth it. Right? Somebody has one kid. And he goes, Rabbi, I'm exhausted. I have one kid. I said, I can't handle another kid. I don't have the strength. So I say, don't worry about it. When you get a second kid, you get the energy for a second kid. See, God's an investor. So He's not going to give you strength for 2 kids because you only have 1 kid. So why should He waste His strength on you? So it's only when He gives you the second kid does He give you the strength. And then somebody said, well, I have 2 kids, Rabbi. I'm maxed out. The answer is you absolutely are maxed out. But, so you get when God will give you a 3rd kid, give you the strength. Now, should I prove it to you?
Yes.
I'm going to prove to you how you know this. I have 8 kids. And so each time I went through the same process.
You look tired.
You should see my wife. Right? So what happens is how do I know it's true? Because every time, if you have 2 kids, or 3 kids, or 4 kids, or 5 kids, make a difference. And one of your kids goes out and spends the night with somebody else. So you only have 1 less kid. How do you feel? It's amazing. Well, wait a second. I only have 7 kids at home. It's a breeze. Wait a second. At 1, you're telling me you couldn't handle 1. Right? Why is it a breeze? Because when I got the 8th kid, I got the energy for the 8th kid. So when the 8th kid goes away for the night, God doesn't take the energy away from me. So I have the energy for 8. I only have 7 kids. Of course it's a breeze. Right? Right? You got that? Like, that's how this thing works.
It gets easier.
Yeah. Tell that to the Marines. The answer is, so the same way that God gives you energy when He gives you a kid, the same way He gives you money.
It's a nice story.
Right?
It's a nice story.
Yeah.
Yeah, because every time that we had a child, God gave us the money, and the government of Israel took it.
Yeah.
It's only part of the story.
That's true here too.
Right. So that.
The tax that we pay there is
Right. So that's man-made.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But that's how it works. It's amazing. That's exactly how the world works. I'm explaining to you how the world works. Listen, that's all. That's what they're paying me to do. I'm just telling you how the world works. The world works. Okay. So what happens? So we go ahead and we have here, right? So how many kids does Adam have? The answer is Adam has lots of kids. The Torah. So let me ask you a question. If he had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids, okay, that's exactly how many he had. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids. So why does it? How many kids do we know about? 3. Right? Which 3 do we know about? Cain, Abel, and Seth. So why does the Torah just tell me about Cain, Abel, and Seth? What happened to all the other kids?
You were destroyed.
Where?
In the flood?
In the flood. But okay, but that's not for another 1,600 years.
So I think those three were special.
Those three were special. What was special about them?
Well, Cain and Abel, that was a special experience and a lesson we learned.
So the answer is like this. The Torah is not a history book. The Torah is not a history book. It doesn't tell me the history. What does the Torah tell me?
Lessons.
Lessons. Moral and ethical lessons. And guess what? For Cain and Abel, there are lots of lessons. So we need to know about Cain and Abel. Seth we hear very little about, right? We read the end last chapter, in chapter 4, it says that God has replaced me another kid, right? Instead of Abel. Right? But that's it. And the basic, then we go through Seth's lineage. Right? We're going to cover like 1,000 years, like in the next page. Right? But again, why doesn't the Torah tell me kind of like give me what went on during that time? Wasn't important. Right? It wasn't something that I need to know. So the Torah is not a history book. So when you learn the Torah, you have to read it through the eyeglasses of looking at that. The Torah is teaching me lessons. Right? These lessons, right? It's if I get the lesson, great. If I don't, I'm out of luck. Right? But it's all about the lessons that the Torah is teaching.
But everything in history happened is in the Torah.
Correct.
Anything that happens in the future is still in the Torah.
Sure. Everything's in the Torah.
So it makes it a history book too.
Okay, it has it that way, but it's harder to read as a history book, right? But the history of the Torah is not here to tell me history. I need to know Cain and Abel. I need to know Seth.
One thing I don't understand about the Torah in general, it jumps from one chapter completely to a different era.
Right.
And then from one chapter completely to a different era. It's
Correct. Because there was nothing new that God had to teach us that happened during that time.
So if I sit down and read the Torah during the David's time,
Yeah.
I wouldn't see the future with David.
Say it again.
Let's say if I was alive before David,
Right.
I had no idea David is coming,
Right.
and I read the Torah,
Right.
would I understand there will be somebody as David who will come in
No,
the future?
because David is not in the 5 books of Moses, not in the Torah. David is only in the prophets. So and the prophets were written after the story happened. It was not in the future. The prophets were written after the story happened. That's when it was included in.
If I read this book, can I tell the future?
Can you? Technically, you
Yes.
could be able to, but you can't, and I can't. We're not great enough scholars to know, right? We know what's going to happen to the world. We know Mashiach is going to be by year 6,000. Do you know exactly when? Do we know what's?
Everything goes back to Moshiach, talking about things that happens after. Like, okay, let's say the embassy open up today. What's going to happen next?
Am I right? No, so we don't, right? We don't have it's again. I don't have. Are there great rabbis, sages that do know more? Yeah.
The Torah testified about
And that's what it is.
the hand of Hashem between.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, so chapter 5, verse number 6. Joyce, you want to read?
Seth lived 105 years and begot Enosh. And Seth lived 807 years after begetting Enosh, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died.
Okay, so what does Enosh mean? What does Enosh mean?
Oh, we forgot. You see that somewhere.
Enosh comes to the word Anashim, man. Man, so Enosh is called man. Why is he called man? M-A-N. Why do you call son man? Because when man came about, this is the point in time when idolatry started in the world. Till Enosh was around, there was no idolatry, right? Now, once Enosh comes about, the third generation, at that point in time, idolatry starts in the world. Why does idolatry start in the world?
Little by little, they lose the people drifted slightly and it became more prevalent from.
Well, let me ask you a question. Did they know that Adam spoke to God? Adam and Eve spoke to God? Yeah.
Yes.
Did Cain and Abel talk to God?
Yes.
Yeah, right? So how could you go from talking to God to idolatry? Like that's a pretty big span over here. On one hand, you're talking to God. On the other hand, you're busy idolatry.
Well, it started with the sun.
Oh, so what happened? So Maimonides says that this is what happened. What happened was that man, right? Let's say Adam, Eve, or Cain, Abel. They started worshiping. They started not worshiping. They started praying that the sun should help them intercede on their behalf to God. Okay? And what happened was their children saw them praying to the sun. They didn't understand what they really were doing. And so therefore at that point in time that they went ahead and they thought that their parents were worshiping the sun. Right? And so what happened? They started worshiping the sun. And they saw their parents praying to the sun, but they didn't realize that the parents were not praying to the sun as a god, but was asking the sun to help them, to help them intercede with God.
Would that be okay?
Would that be okay? So technically, again, now it's forbidden, right? Because we might, but it's not idolatry per se, right? Okay, what we call full blown idolatry. Anyone know what happened when mankind started worshiping the sun? Or started worshiping idols?
No.
Is that when they got exiled?
No. Remember, they got exiled out of the Garden of Eden when they sinned with the tree. So let me tell you a little story. God came and brought a flood that flooded a third of the world.
Is this as a Noah's flood? The same
No,
flood?
different than Noah's flood.
Oh, another?
Another flood. You didn't know that? I want you to know. It's nowhere in the Chumash does it appear. It's a footnote. Rashi mentions it, sort of like as a side piece. And it took me years to find the Rashi again. But it's crazy, okay? Right? So that's why I didn't know it either. It's like I'm going like Dor Enosh, the generation of man, that is when God actually brought a flood, that a third of the world was flooded.
So who named him Enosh?
His parents. Yes, it's said.
They knew the word.
So what we say in the Talmud is that parents get a certain siyata d'shmaya, they get a certain divine push by help that they name their children the name that the child is supposed to get.
And the name has a meaning.
And the name has a meaning. Right? So it's called Enosh, right? Because that was when man began to worship.
What gave him the idea that it was a flood?
What gave?
Rashi.
Oh, what? Okay, I'll show. Actually, if you turn 2 pages, I'll show you what it is. Actually, turn 1 page. Right, and right in chapter 6. What? Right. So take a look. Chapter 6. It's chapter 6 on page 27. It's chapter 6. Okay, verse number 4. Right, so what does it say in the Torah? Chapter 6, verse number 4. Right, this is where Rashi talks about it. Right, chapter 6, right, verse 4. And the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of rulers would consort the daughters of men who would bear to them, they were the mighty who from old, were men of devastation. Okay, so So what does Rashi say? What does it mean in those days and also afterwards? Right? You see in verse number 4? Right? It said, Nephilim said, with these giants were on the earth in those days and also afterwards. Right? What days is it talking about? And what does it mean also afterwards? So Rashi says, in those days, in the generation of the generation, in the days of the generation of man, right, and the children of Cain, and also afterwards, even though they saw that the generation of man was wiped out, that the Yam Ukinas came up and flooded a third of the world, the generation of the flood did not choose to learn from what happened. And they ignored what happened, and therefore that's why in chapter 6, verse number 4, it says in those days and also afterwards, right? That also afterwards there was a lesson to be learned, and they ignored the lesson. Because what did they say? It wasn't God, it was coincidence.
Yeah, it's happened to this day too.
It happened today, sure. We are liable to learn from past history, right? Maybe we have to be smart enough to learn from it.
Not just liable, but we also have the opportunity.
We have an opportunity, right? But it's the idea is to go ahead and to be right, not just the opportunity, right? But to go ahead and to we have to make sure we learn our lessons, right? Because if we don't learn our lessons, right, we're doomed. Right, we're doomed to repeat it. You know what Ziggy says? You know who Ziggy is, right?
Yeah.
Famous Ziggy?
Yes.
It's a cartoon character. It's like a big round face, like with the single hair, like goes up on his head. And what does Ziggy say? Ziggy says, "Why does history always repeat itself? Because we never learn from the first time." Right? That's what Ziggy says. Right? And that's what we need to learn. Right? So it goes ahead and so we have. Right, that's the source of where we see that there was a calamity that took place that the world did not pay attention to. Right? It's actually interesting, and I didn't see this anyplace, so I'll mention it. Right? Did it ever bother you that the Mediterranean Sea? Like there's a little neck, right, where the Atlantic and the Mediterranean Sea are connected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the Mediterranean Sea could have been a very fertile valley. And then when God came and flooded a third of the world, it could be kind of flooded the whole Mediterranean. Because there is a medrash that says, when the Talmud it says that the water was raging until it came to the port of Haifa. And once it hit the land of Israel, when it came to the land of Israel, it stopped. Right? Did it ever?
Came from Iran side.
No, nothing from the Atlantic side through.
Russia side.
No, Atlantic, America side, Atlantic into the Mediterranean basin, and that could also be Atlantis, right? You know, we're talking about Atlantis. And that could have been destroyed by then also.
Well, they found submerged cities.
Right.
On the eastern side.
Yeah. Correct. I said it all fit very nicely. Just an interesting thought.
I saw a clip, and this is true story.
Mm-hmm.
Cruise ships, when they travel from one ocean to a different ocean, where the Pacific and the Atlantic meet, there is like a borderline, like the water is two different colors.
Yeah, it is.
See it.
Yeah, absolutely.
See it, and they work like this.
Right, even though it's all water, right? It's not really water. It's all right. It's that's why they're called seven seas, right? Even right, the different salinity, different and right. We talked way back at the beginning of the creation, right? In day number 2, right? It says, "Well, God created the seas," right? So what were the seas? And it had a plural, it's all one water, and it's because each sea is different, right? That's why you ever go to the store, you see people buy the Atlantic salmon and the Pacific salmon, right? They go and right. Why? Because they taste different, right? Because depending on the sea where they were raised, right, is depending on what goes ahead and what happens. Okay, and but it's fascinating. I'll tell you a fascinating oral law. It says, why are all the continents surrounded by water?
That helps define them as a continent.
Thank you.
Good point.
Okay, now again, by the way, it would be interesting if the Bering Straits were still there, right? Not submerged, right? Would we say North America and Russia be the same continent?
North America and South America are connected.
Okay, right, so we call them. Right, so,
Europe and Asia are connected.
Right, and we still call them continents.
Separate continents.
Right, even though there's no separate water around.
Right.
Okay, so therefore, so it's not, water does not define them as a continent.
It helps define them as a continent.
Okay, yeah, okay. But why does God make it that the whole world should be surrounded by water?
Because we need more beaches.
It's actually funny. We probably need less beaches. I think there's more sins on the beach than in other places.
Maybe some form of separation.
What?
Separation.
Separate. So let me tell you a fascinating measure. The Talmud asks this question, right? And it's a medrash in the Yalkut Shimoni. He says, what is this compared to? He says it's compared to, they had, in the olden days, when a king had his kingdom, and he owned many provinces. When a province would not listen, what would he do? What would the king do?
Make war on it.
Right, but before he would go and make war, he would put his army around the city, around the country, and say, if you don't listen, I'm going to give you one last chance. If you don't listen, my army's going to come in.
So that's God's army?
And that's God's army. The water is surrounding all that. It's meant to remind us that if we don't act properly, there are consequences to our actions.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
It's not by flood.
What?
It's not by flood.
Certainly could be by flood. God got lots of buttons. You know what I'm saying? He's got the fire button. He's got the earthquake button. He's got the flood button. But his volcano, right? This week is volcano button. You know, God likes to kind of shake it up a little bit. Excuse the pun. Okay, right? Kind of.
Well, sandstorms.
Right. Sandstorms, right there. Right. You want to know how many? Whatever ways you think you can outsmart God. Let me tell you, God's smarter than you. Okay, I just want to go on. I want to go on public record just to state that. Okay, right? Is that whatever ways you think you can do it, God has got many buttons at His disposal.
Didn't He say not after the? No.
Yeah, didn't He promise not to ever flood the earth again?
That is really a mistranslation.
No. So that's not what it means when I see a rainbow.
No. So when you see rainbow, certain types of rainbow, not all rainbows, that as you see a certain type of rainbow, it means that God was going to destroy the world, but He promised that He wouldn't.
What type?
Okay. So that's you have to wait to Noah. We're almost at the part of Noah.
So we know we're going to get. At some point
We'll talk about different types of rainbows. Okay. There's a rainbow that sort of flashes into and out of existence. One that just stays there. Okay. So but what's really cool. Actually, it's better. They mistranslate it for the worse. Does anyone know what the word mabul means? Mabul.
Like I lost my marble?
Mabul means marble is what you have in Boston.
And what is the word mabul? Mabul?
Sounds familiar. I think I heard it.
Yeah. It's mabbling outside. Have you heard that?
No.
Like rain?
Rain, yeah. Okay. What does mabul mean?
A lot of rain.
A lot of rain, right? Mabul means like a flood. Okay, that's a mistranslation. How do you know that's a mistranslation?
Because my grandfather called people like that. You mabul.
Now that was mabul. Okay. Right, so it's like this. Why? Because the Torah says, God says, by Noach, behold, I'm going to bring maybe mabul mayim al haaretz. You want to translate that for me? Vihine, and behold.
Okay.
Right? Ani mevi. I'm going to bring mabul mayim. A lot of water. Al haaretz. On the ground. Let me ask a question. Should it not just say, behold, I'm going to bring mevi mabul al haaretz?
Oh,
Without mayim. Right? Mabul mayim would seem to be a repeating of the same thing. If mabul means a flood, which I always, by the way, for the first 25 years of my life, that's what mabul means. Mabul means a flood. And then somebody said to me, wait a second. Actually, I heard a class from Rabbi Gottlieb. He said it says mabul mayim, right? It says a flood. Right? But if mabul means a flood of water, so why do I have to say the word mayim?
Which is flood too.
Which is flood with mayim is water.
What? Okay,
so mabul mayim.
Instead of a mud flood.
So flood can be something else than water.
Oh, so very okay. So what does the word mabul mean? The root of the word mabul comes from the word behala. Behala means a destruction. So God says, I will never destroy the world again. That's what the mabul.
By water.
No, never destroy the world. The world cannot be destroyed.
How do we go from 2 water words to none?
No. Because the word mabul doesn't mean flood. The word mabul means bahala, means an upheaval, a destruction, a big destruction, but it doesn't necessarily mean water, which is why it has to say mabul mayim, right? It has to be right this destruction of water,
okay,
right? Because you just say mabul by itself, destruction
so
just means.
Destroy no matter what.
Right, so so if you take a look, right, in chapter 9, right, so it says like this.
You won't destroy the world.
Period.
So it says, right, so take a look in chapter 9, verse 11. Okay, chapter 9, verse 11, page 43. Just remember 9/11. Cute. Okay, right. Take a look, right, in chapter 9, verse 11.
Chapter 9.
Yeah.
Never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth.
Okay, no. Okay, so but you have to look in the Hebrew because they mistranslated. Because the word mabul doesn't mean flood. The word mabul, we said, means destruction. So let's read verse number. I'm going to read you verse 11 now in the Hebrew. Okay, and I will establish my covenant with you. It's talking about when God made the rainbow. And it says, I'm going to establish my covenant with you, and no longer will all flesh be destroyed, mimei hamabel, from the waters of the flood, or the destruction. And then the verse could have stopped there, but then it continues and says, there will no longer be any mabul, which means any destruction to destroy the earth.
Of any kind.
Destruction, okay, good.
Okay, right?
So he's not saying flood that's not going to destroy. So you can have a flood, like we have floods here.
Right, it floods all the time.
Yeah, but like you can't have the destruction flood or any destruction.
No, you can have a destruction flood. You can't have anything that will destroy the entire world.
Okay.
The universe.
The world. No. The world. The world. It's all about me, Frankie. It's about. It's about.
Yeah, I think that Hashem was saying that, I will not. He didn't say. I think the text didn't say that. I will not destroy some world, but I will not destroy the whole universe.
No. Talk about the earth. The earth. Oh, we are the center of the universe.
Right.
However many people want to tell you there's people in outer space and they're the center of the universe. Center of the universe, folks.
The sun is
actually it's in Jerusalem, right? But that's right. But people, it's people, right? It's people. Right? We're talking about human beings on this planet.
So right? The sun is going to burn out.
The sun's going to burn out in 20,000 years. Well, we're going to be over by 6 or 7 or 8, whatever that means. Right? So we don't have to worry about that. And then let me tell you something. It's supposed to go longer. Guess what? You'll go to sleep one day, and the sun will burn out, and guess what will happen?
A new one.
New one will show up. I kid you not.
So the world,
what?
Not just the world, the mankind won't be.
Mankind won't be totally destroyed by it. Now again, can 90% of mankind be destroyed? Yeah. 95?
99
and a half. The cockroaches will be around, and at least one man, right? Two, right? A man and a woman, right? It just says, but it says the entire world will not be totally destroyed. That's what God promises, that the world cannot be destroyed.
So some humanity might still live.
There always will be some humanity that will live.
So it's not specifying by flood.
Yeah, right. Just as it says destruction, and as we pointed out, God has got a lot of buttons on his console.
Because the flood was the total destruction, the first flood.
What?
The flood was the total destruction.
Yeah, the flood of Noah's flood totally.
No,
Right?
you just said it's not total destruction because people live.
Yeah, because people lived right. Because God,
So
right?
there was never total destruction.
Correct. Correct.
I thought only Noah's family survived. Only Noah's family.
That's 8 people.
But everything else in the world was destroyed.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So.
Yeah. What did you say?
Don't worry about global warming.
Yeah.
The world's not destroyed.
Okay, wait 1 second. Frankie, a question. Frankie, what did you say?
Yeah, the scientist, the Dr. Morton, the scientist that I work with, and say, God has promised that he will never destroy the world again. So with the sign is the rainbow. Now he was talking about Houston flood that happened. Is God lying or?
With the what?
The flood that happened in Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a little localized flood.
That's what his point is. He said, if God is why that God let that thing happen, that flood, it's still a flood, right?
Yeah, sure, but there's no problem. God says it'll be a flood, and no problem.
There'll be many floods.
I mean, just by the way, do yourself a favor and don't build your house in the middle of a floodplain.
Yeah.
Right, like that kind of thing. And don't say you're going to build something that God can't destroy, because God can do whatever He wants. Right, so I wouldn't dare God. And that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like that's, and actually, and really, right? It behooves us, right? To when there's a destruction anywhere in the world. By the way, it's a message to the Jewish people.
I mean, destruction anywhere in the world to
Yeah.
any group?
Yeah.
So if it's to somebody we don't like, then it's like you're doing okay? And
Well,
if somebody we do,
right? But remember, the world is for the Jewish people, right? We're the center of the universe, right? God is running the world, right, around us. We're a A-team. You know what I'm saying? Like but it's a message to us. So, right? But we got to pay attention, right? We got to pay attention to what's going on. That's all. But God says there won't be a flood to destroy the world. That's what it is.
So, Robert, is there an end to the sun? The sun was.
Well, they said the sun's supposed to burn out in 20,000 years.
It's supposed to burn out.
Yeah.
But
I think that's what scientists say. Unless maybe something hits it.
Isn't the sun and the moon are blessed? Don't they have a contract with God?
Well, they do, yeah.
I mean, the earth will finish, but the galaxy will not.
Yeah, that's renewable energy. God will take care of it. I'm not worried about it. I'm letting some people take care of that problem. They're gonna let them worry about it. I mean, I tell you, I think quicker than the sun burning out is the people will destroy the world through their actions.
Oh, yeah.
No, but if you
That's what I'm working on.
If you really look at it,
You're starting with the
if you really look at it,
What? Yeah.
if it's the end times, if the God just turns that temperature 10 degrees more, the game is over.
Do you know there were over 200 things that exist in the world today that have to be just so, otherwise the world can't exist? You know, over 200 things. But how many millions of miles is the sun from the Earth?
93.
93 million miles. But it was, what happens was 93.00000 10 miles away from the Earth.
No, that's okay because the orbit of the planet is
It's an elliptical, right, over, right. Right. So it's again,
variance.
No variance, right? There's some variance. By the way, but the Earth is tilted, and that because the tilt of the Earth has changed because of the floods.
23.5 degrees.
Right. Before the flood came about.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
Before
the flood, there was only one season. It was springtime all year round on the entire Earth.
You live in Texas?
Yeah. Is that amazing? Is that amazing? Is that amazing? Right? And after the flood, God gave us 6 seasons.
4 seasons?
6. No, you have 4.
What
6
seasons?
You know, I'm teaching Parshas Bereishis. He asked me about the Noah. Got away a little bit. End of chapter 8. We're going to get to it.
You said 6.
Okay.
Inquiry minds want to know.
I'm just reading a verse in the Torah. I'm not. I'm just reporting the facts live. So please don't hang me. You've been all taught 4 seasons. There really are 6 seasons.
We have a space engineer. Come on.
Okay, right. There are.
Let's move to Israel.
Seriously, Am Israel has a contract with God.
Yes.
How about the global world?
No.
How about the sun? The moon,
Oh no! The sun. They
the
just
Mars or whatever.
they serve God. They serve God. God do exactly what God tells them.
Everything's a servant.
Correct.
We are servants.
We're also supposed to be servants. We sometimes think we're the boss is the problem. That's when things get a little, we kind of make a little mistake, right? When we think we're in charge.
Oh, yes.
Right? So we just got to remember that God's in charge, and our job is to choose to create a relationship with Him. That's our choice, right? Our choice. We could do it, right, one way or the other. Okay, so Seth, right, in all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Enosh, right? Important, right? Verse number 9, right? Enosh, right? So he's man. That's when idolatry started. Bad news. Okay, so chapter 5, verse number 9. Scott, would you like to read?
Enosh lived 90 years in Begot Canaan. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And Enosh lived 815 years after begetting Canaan.
Canaan. It's interesting. It's Canaan. It's spelled similarly, but it's really Canaan, and that because Canaan is where the Jews live. So I don't want you to get those two mixed up, because it's Canaan.
And he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died.
Okay.
Canaan lived 70 years and begot
Mahalalel.
There you go. And Canaan lived 840 years.
I'm reading it in the Hebrew. In English, I can't read English either.
After begetting
Mahalalel.
And he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died.
Mm-hmm.
You got the
Mahalalel.
Yeah. Lived 65 years and begot
Yered.
And
Mahalalel.
lived 830 years after begetting
Yered. They do J for a Y. I don't know why, but go ahead.
And begot sons and daughters. All the days
Mahalalel.
were 895 years, and he died.
Yered.
Lived 162 years and begot Enoch.
Right.
And Yered lived 800 years after begetting Enoch, and begot sons and daughters. All the days of Yered came to 962 years, and he died.
Right, so Yered was also, right? Mr. Shalach was 969, Yered was 962. Right, you know what that teaches? There's only a 7-year difference between them. Right? Less than 4. Less. Yeah, one lived 969, one lived 962, but you never heard of Yered. Why didn't you hear of Yered?
Because you didn't have anything.
Because second place stinks. Stinks.
Second place is the first loser.
Right? Any question?
Small question.
Yeah.
Why the additional of Vayamut and he died? The moment that you're telling the exact years that he lived, that's it. You know that he died in the end.
No.
But
Okay.
each time when they are adding it.
That's true. Yeah.
Right, so it's
But it's
Is it
not,
ready?
because in
Right,
verse 24 it says, for God had taken.
Oh, right, okay. Right, because we're going to see some place it doesn't say and he died, right?
Yeah.
Or it tells us a little differently. He's gathered in and he dies, right? There are different ideas that it teaches us. Okay, and because it's actually quite fascinating, right? Because how many generations were there from Adam to Noah? They're going to be 10 generations, right? So they destroyed the 10 spiritual levels of the world, the 10 generations. Right? There are lessons to be learned. We're going to get to them.
The 10 generations represent each spiritual level of the world.
Yeah.
And then did it take us 10 years after we came back to get them back, or did they
Oh,
just
so okay, good. Hold on, I'm going to get to that.
All right,
A lot of good stuff.
chapter.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, verse number 21. David, you want to read? Thank you, Scott.
21.
Yep.
Enoch lived 65 years and begot
Methuselah.
Enoch walked with God, Hashem, for 300 years after begetting Methuselah, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, then he was no more, for God had taken him.
He didn't die.
What?
So he didn't die, he was no more.
Well,
And he didn't just live, he
He was
walked
cut
with
off.
God.
right. What?
Is it he, like the other ones, it just said he lived 800 years, blah, blah, blah.
Right, and then he died.
Enoch walked with God.
Right,
He didn't just live, he walked with God.
right. So why is that so?
I don't know.
Well, then what's the problem with this verse?
The problem is I don't understand it.
Right. What don't you understand?
The
All these other people are living 900, 800, 900 years,
And they die.
and they die, right? And the world is spinning out of control, worse and worse and worse and worse. We finally get one guy who got the memo.
He figured it out.
He figured it out, and he walks with God. And what happens to him?
God takes him.
He dies at 365 years.
He wasn't going to get closer to God.
because he got the memo and he followed it.
Okay, so then why did he get taken up?
His reward.
What?
His usefulness was over.
His usefulness was over.
God wanted him back?
His
Isn't that what the reason he died?
His reward for doing what he should have done.
So living long is a punishment.
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes, yeah.
I'll take your years.
Well, he must have done something.
God was
though.
worried that he would go wrong.
Oh.
He was going to start to follow the
Oh.
idol worshippers. But he'd been good all along.
Uh-huh. See, Chanoch had a different problem. God had a different problem. Chanoch was somebody who was pretty perfect. Right? And what's the problem? He said he was pretty perfect. What?
When you're
And
arrogant.
no. But he was living at. He couldn't get any closer, and not only couldn't he get any closer. Go ahead. He was living at a time of complete. The world was so corrupt.
Oh, he'd been corrupted if he would
No.
have taken
God was afraid that if he left him around, that he would go ahead and become corrupted. So what does God do?
He says, "Come to me."
Right. He saves him from going ahead and becoming corrupted, which is a fascinating question.
Rabbi, correction. God can be afraid, or he was concerned?
He was concerned that was what was happening.
Okay.
So now, and let me ask you the following question. Let's say a person was to know that he had reached the pinnacle of his spiritual growth in this world. Should he continue living, or should he die?
What else is there? If he reached the pinnacle, the only thing following is down.
Or you
No.
show other people to be.
I want to let you know something. I was in New York last week. And so, actually with Muncie, where I grew up. And one of my favorite things to do is like to drive up like into the foothills of the Catskills.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just lovely,
Yes.
right? And so we were driving along, so it's funny, so I didn't take the highway, I took like, I don't know if you know Route 202, I took like a more scenic route. I had to go with my wife to Bear Mountain, so we're gonna just kind of go up all these, going up, all these nice scenic routes. And I kept on looking, like this looked like I was on the highest road up to the peak of the mountain, right? And so I thought, okay, I'm at the top.
Not so.
And then I would kind of turn the bend,
You see more
and I
time.
see more tops. So the answer is, when you're at the pinnacle, there is more than one way to go. To go on to the next peak, and the next peak, and the next peak, which is really what we're supposed to be doing. Right? Life is supposed to be a continual growth process of going higher and higher and higher and higher.
I have a big advantage because I'm not anywhere near the pinnacle.
Me neither.
No, I hear that. Yeah, I gotta get worried. Rabbi, what do I do now? I can't get any better. Right, help me out here, right?
No fear.
Right, it's not fair. Right. So what's the answer? The answer is, so now it's very interesting. So if a person was to know, right? So it's a hypothetical question, because the answer is a person could always become greater. And that's really our job. And it's only when you get to the level of greatness that you can understand how far from greatness you are. Right? Okay, right. You know, we look up there and we see these towering mountains and look, right? They look high, right? They look low, right? When you get there, all of a sudden you see there's a whole new vista that opens up. And that really becomes our job in life, is to go ahead and to go ahead and to keep on climbing from one peak to the next. Right? That's really our job, right? To go from one to the next, to the higher and higher. Right? That's what we're supposed to be doing. Right? And so as we climb these peaks, right? So we go to the next one. But let's say a person must have a hypothetical. He's 40 years old. He's hit his peak of spiritual perfection. And from here on out, he's only, he'll go up and down, up and down, up and down, but he's never going to get higher than the peak that he is now.
Then he should teach other people.
And his choice is die now or go down in a spiritual level, in closeness to God. What should he do?
Never go down.
What?
Never go down.
Never go down. But let's say he knows he's going to go down. Frankie has a dream. He knows he's going to go down. What should he do?
Kill himself, I guess.
The answer is, right, life then is not good for him, it's bad for him. Why is life bad for him?
Because he might go down.
Because remember, you ever heard there's no such thing as a free lunch? As a free lunch.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you don't get a free lunch. In America we say it's a free lunch. That's how we talk about it. Right? And how does one measure that? He measures that in God's measuring stick, right? So now, right, he has a measuring stick. He's going ahead and he's, right, how does he go ahead and figure this all out? So what happens is that anything that we use in this world, anything, like air, water, ground to walk on, food, love, energy, who does that all belong to? God. And why does God give it to us?
Because he loves us.
Because he loves us. Good. And what are we supposed to do with that? You have to use it for good. Right? And what happens if you don't use it for good? You lose it. Right? Then you turn around and you lose it. Bad news. Right? So all of a sudden now you lose it. So at that point in time, if you lose it, right? But it's not only that you lose it, you've used it and now you have to pay for it. So it's like your kid's using up his credit card, keeps him, right, doing these charges, right, and doesn't pay the bill. What do?
Cancel the credit card.
Okay. Right? God cancels our credit card. Ouch. Right? But that's what it is. So anything that we use, right, we go ahead at that point in time, if we don't use it for what it's intended for, right, if we use it or use it incorrectly or with etc., so then at that point in time, right, it could be very costly to us. Right? And it could be something that comes with a big demerit. Right? And so at that point in time, we just have to be careful that what we use, that we use it for the right purpose. Chanoch walked with God. He'd reached the pinnacle. But he was living at a time in the world when the world was a pretty corrupt place. Right? A very corrupt place. Right? Again, remember, one more generation, right? One more, right, after Chanoch. Right? What's going to happen after Chanoch? By 97. Okay, so he's got, right? The world continues to go further and further. Right? And the world's going to be destroyed. And the world is going to be corrupted. And Chanoch was not strong enough to stand up against it. So what does God do? And so at that point in time, God says it's not good for you to live. And that God takes it. Right? And that's right, and that's what it means. He's no longer because God took him. And me, God took him. Right? It was time. Right? That was what it was.
Even such a righteous person like he could get God.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's the amazing thing, you should know. Because the more righteous you become, right now again, and I'll tell you, it's just something fascinating, because a person becomes a super righteous person, they're not going to sin in the gross way that we sin. Right? You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be like, right? They're not going to go and grab a cheeseburger. Now, right? They'll sin on their level, right? They'll do something that's not fitting for their level. Right? That's what's going to happen. Right? You follow me? It's not the idea of, right? It's not that to do whatever. Right? Is that everything is based on the level on which they're at. Right? And that's what we need to learn. Right? We need to figure it out. Right? We got to figure out to do the right thing. Right? But to realize that time is an asset as well. Right? It's one of the things that we have. And it's a gift from Hashem. And then we're here in this world, God has given us a gift. Right? And my time's not my own. Right? It's we're all here on borrowed time. So why do we take time? Why do we use time? Because what?
Make the world a better place.
Make the world a better place, to come closer to God. So as long as we're using it for a good reason, right? So then the more of it we get, the better off we are. Right? Once we start misusing it, or not using it for the right reasons, right? Then it becomes a negative, and it's no longer a positive. And it's fascinating because as we go through life, there are different stages in life that we have, and we have different jobs at different stages. You know what I'm saying, right? There are different responsibilities and different things we need to do, right? And
different purposes.
Different purposes, right? And so we got to make sure that, and so it's always evolving, right? So our job becomes at that point evolved from what we were doing before. Right, to go ahead and to create that evolving, right, what my job is at age 10 or age 15 is different than it is at 25. It's different than it is at 35. Different than it is at 45. Different than it is at 55. Different than it is at 65. Different than at 75. Right, and we all have different jobs at different stages of life. Right, and we got to make sure that we keep on kind of moving forward with what we have, right? And we have different tools and different things that we all have at different stages in life, and that's really the key is to go ahead and to make sure that we're doing with what we have, right? That what we at that stage in life we're using we're using it for the right purpose, right? And so that really, to me, just this story of Chanoch, like smack in the middle, it's kind of interesting. We're running through the 10 generations, right? This guy, get this guy, get this guy, you on, next, and boom, all of a sudden, Chanoch, and it doesn't even say Vayomos, right? It doesn't say that he dies, right? It just, he's no longer, because God has taken him, right? He's reached the pinnacle. And then hopefully as we keep on climbing, as we keep on getting to the pinnacle, there's another peak that we need to get to, and another peak, right? There's more that we can keep on striving to and keep on growing to. No, we have to be in that mode of climbing and going. Right? But that's where we need to get to. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I go for a second back to Methuselah?
Yeah.
In English, it's one name. Everywhere it says Methuselah.
Yeah.
But in Hebrew, you can see two different names. When he was born, it's written Methuselah. And then after that, it's continued Methuselah.
So in Hebrew grammar, when it's the last word in the verse, it changes to an a. Right?
So that's the reason why.
That's why, right? So if you take a look, Misu Shalach, in verse 21 it ends off, and he gave birth to
If you
Misu.
looked on the Tamei
Right.
Mitzvah, it's an end.
Right. Misu Shalach, right? Like that, and that that's how that goes.
That's why they changed it.
That's why I changed it. Yeah. Okay. Let's turn the page. Oh my gosh, guys, we did a whole page. It was amazing. Okay. This is really breakneck. We're really speeding along here. I hope you guys are going to be all right. The whiplash isn't going to get you. It's, I mean, we just did like 1,000 years. I mean, you know that, right? Like we're 1,000 years in Trinity. And by the way, just an FYI, by the way, just a little thing to notice. It's interesting because a lot of these names, Cain named his kids. Now we already had
they're repeated.
In chapter 4, the repeated names. If you take a look, like in verse at the end of in chapter 4, right? And Cain knew his wife and she conceived in the bore Enoch. Right? There's two Enochs. There's two Chanoch. Right? There's an Enoch like Cain's descendant. There's an Enoch of Shes's descendant. Right? And then then Misush Lamach, right? Lamach, right? We're gonna have having a Lamach coming up right over here, right? So we have a lot of.
What does Lamech mean again? Like Enoch means man, Lamech means.
I'm not sure Lamach. Actually, it's interesting. The word Lamech has the same words as the word Melech, the same letters.
Melech.
Changed differently, but it's Lamech. I'm not sure what Lamech means. Okay. Right. Okay. Fine. Fine. Let's go over here. Page 27, chapter 5, verse number 25. Okay. Orly, you want to read? Yeah.
Which page?
25. Top of page 27.
27.
Oh, here. Methuselah lived 187 years. And
Lamech. Right, the same Lamech that Cain had, right? The same. Go ahead.
Methuselah lived 782 years after
Begetting
Lamech, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Methuselah were 960.
By the way, you have the same thing. It's Lamech and Lamech. Bentzi, you see? Right, it's Lamech at the end of verse 25, and Lamech with it. Go ahead.
All the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died.
Oh, okay, right, he made it. Now, Lamech Methuselah is a famous guy. Right, he lived 969 years. And when does Methuselah die? So Methuselah dies
Right before the flood.
Very
right
good. The day the flood was supposed to happen. The day the flood was supposed to happen by Noach. That's when he dies. Okay, go ahead.
Lamech lived 182 years, and he got a son, and he called his name Noah.
Noach. Aha. Drum roll, please. Noah showing up on the scene. Okay, go ahead.
Saying, "This one will bring us rest for our work and from the toil of our hands, from the ground which Hashem had caused."
How was that? How was Noah going to do that?
He's going to build a
Building the ark.
That's interesting. No.
One thing did you say?
It says, but he called him Noach. Because what does the word Noach mean? What does the word Noach mean? Nach, right? Right, to rest. Right, so rest. Right, so this one will bring us rest from working from the toil of our hands, from the ground which Hashem had cursed. Right, why is that so?
Because had died, and the curse of having to toil was lightened.
So, right, okay, right, what does that mean? Because, so two things. First of all, the plow was discovered during the times of Noah.
Oh, it's easier. So
Easy, right? You didn't have to
okay.
plow yourself with the backhoe.
Okay.
Right, but you sat there, right?
So
and now
Noah
it had a plow. So Noah invents the plow. right, and so that's why, and so therefore he says Noach, we're going to rest, and we're going to have, right, we're going to be able to rest, and that's why it's interesting. This will bring us rest from our work, and so then at that point in time, right, and so Noach, and number two, Noach was the first one who was born after Adam died. Right, and so then there was a tradition that was passed down to Adam, that when Adam dies, that the curse of the thorns and thistles growing from the ground was going to lessen. Right, and so he was the first one who's born after. So okay, no, that's going to become easier.
So it didn't change the land itself.
Necessarily, right now that's it. Right, the thistles come. Right, but he doing what he did. Right, so then at that point in time, right, then at that point in time, so then at that point in time, he's just easier because now they actually had a plow.
But Noach is not rest. Noach in Hebrew it's not rest.
Right, sure.
No. Nach.
Yeah.
Torah, this is rest. Noach is a convenient, easy to deal with.
No, they have Noach, right? But the root of the word right, Vayinach, and it becomes some rest easy. It's the same root. Nach means to rest. Vayonach bayom hashavi'i. What does that mean?
Oh, he rest.
He rested. God rested, right? Nach means rest. That's one of the reasons why it's easy, is because you don't get it was worked up when it's easy. Right? You have vayonach, right? Zayinach amenu. Right? The word nach means to rest.
Does it mean to rest or relief? It says, yeah. So instead of rest, it's not.
No, but it doesn't mean rest. It's like Shabbos, like how it's used in Shabbos, that he rested, but to make it easier. Right? To make it easier for us to do it. Right? Okay? Go ahead. Verse number 30.
Lamech lived 595 years after begetting Noah, and he begot sons and daughters. All the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. When Noah was 500 years old, Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Yefet.
Were they triplets?
No, Shem and Ham and Yefet were not triplets. Right? But again, right, it's important for us to know. Why is it important for us to know?
Well, I thought they were
going to help him build the ark?
What?
Are they going to help him build the ark?
They're going to go ahead and they're going to help him build the ark. No, they're going to build the ark. All mankind till today descends from those three. Shem, Ham, and Yafes. Right, so we're going to have, right, so we're having, right, Shem, Ham, and Yafes. So now, right, so Noach was 500 years old. Now we got Shem, Ham, and Yafes.
Question.
Yeah.
So when Noah came, all the adultery and everything else should have stopped. How come it never stopped?
No, well, it did stop. When everyone was dead.
But again, we still have problems today until today.
Correct. So we better learn from our mistakes. There's still a lot more water in the world. God got lots of device. The truth is, he doesn't need to do anything. Mankind will probably destroy it on our own. Right? That's just interesting. Okay, we're going to stop here. Before we stop, two quick announcements. Number one is the data raffle is winding down. We got 2 days left to get your raffle tickets for two tickets to the Super Bowl, including ground fare, transportation, and hotel, or a choice of that, or of going on a cruise. And then we have, so tickets are $100 a piece, right? 3 for $250, 7 for $500, 15 for $1,000, 40 for $2,500, 100 for $5,000, $225 for $10,000. Thank you to everyone who has participated already. If not, you have the last opportunity. The clock is winding down. I'm facing intense pressure to keep it up, raffle open a couple more days to give everybody the opportunity to get in on this great deal.
Are you going to pick the names on Facebook Live or something?
Oh, that's such a cool idea. You know, maybe we should do something like that.
I think that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
At the end of the class.
Well, actually, Rabbi Abrams, when are we picking? When are we picking the raffle? Wednesday at 5 p.m. Okay, Wednesday 5 p.m. here.
Facebook Live?
Should we Facebook? They want to do it on Facebook Live. Okay, so
Does that even
This
have
really
a
is funny. Like,
no, it's my Facebook Live. Yeah, I think that has a few different. I don't know. It's complicated. All right, but we are. Thank you to everyone for all that participated, and we're trying to hit our goal of $250,000. We're only $10,000 away to hit that goal, so it's quite exciting. So thank God it's been very successful, and we have a lot of people ready to come to study Torah. That's number one. Number two is that tonight is Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Okay, today, Rosh Chodesh Sivan is the day when the Jewish people came to Mount Sinai and encamped at Mount Sinai to receive the Torah a week later, 7 days later. Because of that, there is a special prayer that the Shlah Hakadosh, that the Holy Shlah, who happens to be my great grandfather, I think 15 generations from the Shlah, is my grandfather. Was son after son after son after son, I think till my mother. Where we come from the Shlah, but he has it. It's hanging around here. This prayer either in Hebrew or in English. But since it's a time of receiving the Torah, right, and this is when we start being called the children of God, and so therefore it's a very meritorious time to pray for our children. And so the prayer is around over here. If you want me to shoot you a email copy, I could do that as well. And then to go into save. It's right here if you want to make a copy of it in the office, and you could just very good to pray and to say it. Again, remember, next Monday night we will not be having class here, as it will still be Shavuos. But we will have the opportunity to study all night on Saturday night at Torah, right, from 12 to 5:30, and I'll try to be going through all the 613 commandments.
Right, 12 to 5:30 a.m. on
Yeah.
Saturday night.
Saturday night, yeah.
Would that be in English or
And
Hebrew?
we eat dairy food.
And Hebrew and English?
Hebrew and English?
It'll be in English.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, I'm giving the class.
Oh, you're like
אם יש ישראלים, אני יכול לדבר בעברית, but most people they will be in English.
Say what?
Yeah, I said if there, I said if there are people there that need the that have in Hebrew, I might actually help them out in Hebrew too.
Are you actually giving a class yourself?
I'm giving the class the whole night.
How about other rappers?
There'll be a whole bunch of different classes. There's usually 300, 400, 500 people there
Don't worry about that.
over the course of the night. That everyone can come ahead and can come learn and be part of receiving the Torah. And remember again, I just want to reiterate again that remember we said that since the Jewish people on the night, right, when we came to Mount Sinai, God healed all our deficiencies, right? Anyone who couldn't hear was able to hear, anyone who couldn't see could see, yada yada you, because of all those things. So then at that point in time, the time of listening to the Torah being read on Shavuos morning is a time that's appropriate time, powerful time to pray, right, for all those things to be healed with us. Yeah.
We'll go back to something you said right at the beginning, because you told us an untruth.
Oh. Uh-oh.
You said you only have 8 children. That's wrong. Because in Bamidbar chapter 3, which we read this week,
Right.
it says that God spoke that. Let me look. I've got it marked so I could read it. But it says, "These are the offspring of Aaron and Moses on the day Hashem spoke with Moses at Mount Sinai," and he lists the sons of Aaron were firstborn Nadav and Avihu, Eleazar, and Itamar.
Right.
And the Talmud asks why it never says the sons of Moses.
Right.
And it goes on to the answer was that anyone who teaches Torah is as if
They
those
give birth to
people
them.
are his children.
Right. Right. So I've got thousands and thousands of children, and I pray for you all the time. And so God willing, we'll receiving the Torah is quite spectacular and beautiful. So if you'd like to buy some tickets, Rabbi Abrams in the office, and everyone have a good evening.
Are we doing Friday this week?
Yeah.